Welcome to another Jixie vlogs, and here with me today in the studio is Dan again for another disability chat. It's gonna be epic. You know Dan, he can talk, so you're not gonna be bored. So yeah, today I want to, I'm not actually sure if we've talked about this a lot, but today, because I've got a lot of, actually there's a few things I want to talk about now I think about it, but I want to address some of the comments that I've been getting on my YouTube channel and in the comment sections of other like videos that I've seen, where I sort of saw a, well anyway, first of all, I want to sort of ask you, it's kind of a bit of a random question, but there was a video of you, sorry, my brain's fogged up. There was a video a little while ago that I saw about asking blind people if they wish they could see or not again.
That's a very interesting question, actually.
And in the comment section of that video, well, about 80% of the people on it said that they would like to see again for curiosity's sake. But like 2 people, I think, said that they wouldn't, because they're happy with the way that they are now, because they've grown to be used to their life and their side of the way that it is, and wouldn't want to change it. And in the comment section of that video, there was a man who said, everyone who says that they wouldn't want their sight back is a liar. They only say it because they know that they could never get it back. And it kind of, it's quite an interesting sort of subject, isn't it, really?
It is.
What about you? Would you like your sight back if you...
Well, you can't really talk about me having my sight back because I never could see.
Yeah. Or would you have your sight if you could have it?
Well, there are times when I would like to see more than anything else in the world, like times when I want to drive a car. I would love to drive a car. That is the biggest thing that I would like my sight for. I'd like to be able to drive. Most of the times, see, because I never have been able to see, I don't actually know what it's like to see. So, there are lots of concepts and ideas that I don't really get, and me and sighted people, and my mum and me, we can have fascinating conversations where mum is trying a level best to explain something to me, and I don't understand it. It's, something from a sighted point of view, like how can you see the road through the windscreen of a car? Because the windscreen of a car points upwards. It slopes like that.
Yes, it does. So it slopes up, but you can still look down.
Yeah, I know, but I don't understand that. I don't get it. To me, well, the bonnet's in the way. You can't see the road.
Yeah, it's a hard.
Apparently, you can, so I just accept it. I mean, I have a hearing problem.
Yes.
And I would far rather, if it was a choice, I would far rather have my hearing restored than my sight. Definitely. No.
Well, I feel the same way, actually, because I have osteoporosis. Obviously, as you know, I find it hard to walk sometimes. And, if we're talking about disabilities, I'd much rather have that gone out of my life rather than, my sight. And my sight doesn't, or my lack thereof, it doesn't bother me at all. In fact, to be honest, I found out that I could potentially have my sight back if I wanted it. Well, so when I say back, I, like you say, I've never had it. But I could have my sight if I wanted it. But I choose not to because I feel like it's taken me such a long time and a lot of effort to get from, I've gone through kind of so much anger in my youth, back, about 1,000 years ago. I've gone through so much anger. Like, why me? And I remember one time really struggling in Tesco and coming out of Tesco without buying anything because of how difficult it was to get around Tesco, and punching myself repeatedly in the eye because, saying, you stupid thing, why aren't you working? Why me? And getting so angry about it. So and finally then to get through that and to accept, my sight the way it is, and to kind of love it the way that it is, and to realise that, I
think the person who said that anyone who says they don't want their sight back is a liar is possibly suffering from what many fully sighted people, I suppose because it is their primary, and I think this sometimes to the detriment of society actually.
Yes.
That sight is actually, the primary sense of most people. And I think that most sighted people, if they think about it, suffer from a bowel loosening terror, if I can use that, of losing their sight.
Yeah.
People say things like, "Oh, if I couldn't see the faces of my children, I'd kill myself." And yet, to me, my response to that is, well, so you can't see their faces, but isn't it more important that you're there and that you can hug them and talk to them and
hear their voices? That matters just as much. Yes, I do agree that the whole thing where sighted people just use their sight more than any other thing, it is a detriment, especially to us. Which obviously is, some people might say, well, if you care so much about it impacting you, then why wouldn't you want your sight back? Well, because it's, it's someone's choice.
Yeah.
The reason why I wouldn't want my sight back is, the thing is, the reason why I've not taken the opportunity of having my sight back is I worry that, if I go through it and go through all the pain of the surgery or whatever it is that I have to have, and then I have my sight and I don't like it, then I kind of don't have a choice but to either keep it or lose my sight completely. I can't. I couldn't ever go back to the way that my sight was. It's not a switch that you can just flip.
Yeah.
It's a permanent thing. So you either.
Did you hear about that woman that got somebody to pour, I think it was drain cleaning fluid on her eyes?
I heard about that, yeah, because she wants to be blind. And that makes me mad. That actually does make me so mad. But there are people out there who... And I feel like this is the bad side of this kind of you can be anything society that we have.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
That, it's okay to want to be a different gender. It's okay to want to be a different race. It's okay to want to be... gay or lesbian or trans or cis or I don't even know what that even means. It's okay to
cis means I'm a cis male and you're a cis female. We were born into the genders that we now currently occupy, apparently.
I don't know, but there's all these different...
Anyone can feel free to correct me on that. I know not next to zero about this. I'm given to understand that that's what cis means. Well,
anyway, there's all these different LGBTQ plus whatever. And it's okay to, I've even, although this is a bit of a strange subject, really, to say
it is.
on a channel that is known for talking about being fairies. But yeah, I feel like when it comes to that, I feel like it's hurtful to the people that have no. I mean, obviously I'm not, but it's hurtful to the people that have no choice. That you have a choice and you're choosing to do a really stupid thing. And the thing is...
But then again, I suppose you could argue... alright, we're going off into another topic, but you could kind of argue then people who have to have IVF would feel very angry about people who had abortions. Because...
Well, actually, yes, I was actually about to say that. It's a similar thing, because, for people who can't have children, people who have an abortion, so you don't want a child, but then someone out there does, and you could give them the best gift in the world. the woman who poured drain cleaner in her eyes, she may not have wanted to be able to see, but she could still have given those eyes to someone who actually, the corneas, for example, you can have corneal transplants. You can still give your sight to someone who needs it.
I don't know about that, but yeah. Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for example, it's something that I've actually thought about doing. I want to do that myself, because my left eye, I'm completely blind in my left eye. My eye works. It's the optic nerve, the nerve that connects the brain to the eye itself. That is the thing that doesn't work.
I see, yeah.
My eye is perfectly healthy, and I think what I would love to do is to have, my corneas taken away and given to someone else while I'm still living, because,
Mm-hmm. I don't have the option because this eye's plastic.
Yes, I know. What are both your eyes plastic? No, just
that
one.
That one's real. Ow, that one's real.
That one's real, as evidenced by the fact that you just poke yourself in the eye.
And that one's plastic.
Yeah, I remember you. I remember you said when you were in college, you told me that you take it out every night.
I do, yeah.
Ugh.
Well, I don't so much these days because the specialists throw a dicky fit about it. They say the socket will shrink if I take it out at night, but sometimes I do anyway because it's bloody uncomfortable to sleep in.
I wouldn't know. And maybe it's something that it's something to know about, because if it's a decision that I want to make to get to get in one eye, to get a sort of a false eye, to know that it is uncomfortable.
Well, it's all right. It's all right in the day, and you can sleep in it. But I find I get much better. I find I sleep better if I take it out. I actually a mutual friend of ours has just had a pretty nasty infection in one of her sockets. Actually,
which friend?
Sophia.
Oh, she's not a friend of mine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she's a pain in the ass. And since she doesn't watch my channel, I think I can say that without worrying. Yeah, she's a pain. Well, that's. I feel sorry for her, obviously.
A little lass is just about to start school.
Wow.
Yeah.
But let's get back on subject.
You what?
Let's get back on subject.
Oh yeah, sorry, yeah. What were we actually originally talking about? Oh,
the drain cleaner.
People wanting your sight back, and yeah.
Well, we were talking about the drain cleaner woman, and
we were, yeah.
Wanting to, I just think it's just really cruel. When you can give that gift to somebody, to then just I realise it's her body, but and she should make that choice, and it is very similar to the abortion debate.
Yeah.
But I just feel like if you can give that gift to someone, you should, and not be so selfish. And she'd still get what she wants, in that she'd still, be blind. But she would then give what she doesn't want to someone else. I mean,
I'm not, just for a disclaimer, I'm not necessarily saying that every woman should be forced to bring every child to term. I was only saying that people who can't have children might feel that sort of anger,
Well, I mean, I just think it's just a selfish thing, really, and I just, that's how I feel about it. I just feel like that she could have got what she wanted and given something to someone else.
We're talking about drain cleaner girl now.
Yeah, drain cleaner girl. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. It's quite a selfish thing to do. But anyway,
one of the things that annoys me perhaps more is people who don't use the eye they've got. People who walk about crashing into people, and especially people that walk along using their blinking phones.
Oh, well, yeah, you're a Luddite, aren't you, really, Dan?
I'm not quite sure that's a fair description of me. I do feel that I don't like smartphones. I'll be honest, I do not like smartphones. I think they're a pain in the posterior. I do have one, but I hardly ever use it, and I'm very frustrated. I think the way that people use them now all the time is very antisocial. People don't communicate. People don't talk to each other. I think it's.
Smartphone debate. I have one, obviously. And I think that they're useful for a lot of things.
Oh yes, I agree, but to me, I'm not sure that their negative side doesn't outweigh their positive in most respects. And I mean, I know a great many blind people love them and swear by them and use them every day. I know, but I mean, I can't get the hang of it. And I suppose you could argue that it's a sort of inverted jealousy. Because I can't, I really can't get hang of them. But I don't feel the need to be, on tap like that all the time. I mean, I've had issues with talking to people, and they're like, "Oh, why didn't you answer my message?" I was doing something else.
Well, I don't always. If I'm going round to the shop round the corner, I don't take my smartphone with me. If I'm going on a longer trip, I don't like to not have it with me. Just because I feel like, I kind of feel like stranded almost, because it's kind of, I have my Uber app on there, and, I can call a taxi if I need to. If I get lost, I've got a way out. I don't feel, so stranded, so isolated. But, if I'm going just around the corner shop, or oftentimes, for the whole day, I'll just leave it in my bedroom on charge. And, I'll get messages from my brothers, or he'll call me on my phone, be like, why didn't you pick up your phone? Well, because I left it in the bedroom. It was on charge. I didn't realise it was ringing, because I don't have it on me all the time. I feel like sometimes you need to just take a step back and kind of realise that it's not a part of you. It's not surgically attached to your arm.
Well, that's it.
And, you can leave it aside, and the world will not end.
That reminds me of a story about, I'm not sure if it was Mum or a friend of Mum's, and a customer came into the post office where they work, and he asked for something, and she served him, and so on. And as he turned to go out the door, she said, "I hope your operation goes well." And he turned around and said, "What operation?" He says, "To have the phone removed from your ear." Because all the time he was in the shop asking for something, he had the phone,
Oh, yes, yeah. But spare a thought for him, the ear surgery guy. One thing that I did want to sort of discuss is I'm actually really sick of talking about it, but I feel like, for the record, and basically, I comment things. I watch a lot of videos about people who are partially sighted or blind, and I'll sort of say things like, "Oh yes, I can relate because I'm partially sighted too."
Yeah.
And they'll say things like, "How do you comment on this then if you're partially sighted or if you're blind?" And I have to then sort of...
the number of times I have to explain about screen reading.
I know, and so, right, from now on, to all of those people who decide that they don't want to Google it, and in fact I did actually sort of say to one guy, I said, "Look, just bloody Google speech readers, screen readers, JAWS or Supernova," and he's like, "I can't be bothered, I don't have the time to Google it." And I said, "Well, I don't have the time to answer stupid questions."
Yeah. I get it. Sometimes when I send people emails, I get, "Oh, if you're blind, how could you send this email?"
Oh my God. So, alright, for all of those people, this is the answer.
I remember wanting that, I'd phoned a customer service personnel to ask about something, forget what. And I was looking I have a braille display, so the text of the computer is displayed in braille. It's very clever, these little pins. Have you seen a braille display?
I have not.
Oh, right. I'll have to show you mine
yeah.
one day. And basically it's like a strip like this, and the little oblong-shaped device, and it rests on the desk, and it's got this little strip of what they call braille cells, and these little pins come up and down on little springs that form the dots. So you read. So I had the speech off, and I was talking to this woman on the phone, and I was looking on their website at the same time. The weird thing is I've now forgotten what it was about, and I said, "Oh, I'm just looking on your site at something. Can you tell me such and such, because it doesn't say on your website. I'm just looking." He said, "Looking? I thought you were blind."
Oh, yeah. Anyway, so for those people, a screen or speech reader is a technological program. It's usually installed on your computer, just like any other program would be, and it's a voice usually that will read the text or images on the screen.
Well, it doesn't read images. That's one very important thing. Screen readers cannot read images.
Okay, but it tells you that there is an image. Yeah, it can't tell you what the image is, but it'll tell you that there is an image, and it's very annoying that it doesn't. I don't use it really because I have some sight.
Yeah, I'm reliant on a screen reader. And one of the most annoying things is when people post pictures without saying anything about. The worst thing is when people post pictures with writing in, because the screen reader can't read the writing in the picture.
Yes, I'm sorry.
It's all right.
So I don't use a screen reader, but other people do, like Dan and a few other people that I know.
I've considered having a policy of blocking people who post such pictures, but if I did, I'd hardly have any friends. So.
Yes, it's true. I do it too. I'm sorry.
It's all right.
But, it's like you say, the world is becoming much more visual then.
It is. And smartphones are driving this. This is one reason why I hate smartphones.
It's not just smartphones, it's also the movie industry as well.
Yeah.
I think I've discussed on earlier videos, the 3D craze from about 6 years ago drove me nuts. I have one eye, this eye doesn't work, and this eye it doesn't work very well. And so because I have one eye that doesn't work, I don't have the depth perception thing that you guys, sighted people, do. And so for me, 3D, it doesn't work for me. So when back about 6 years ago, when every movie that came out was 3D, I couldn't watch it. There'd be something that had come out in the cinema, and I'd be like, "Oh, I really want to watch that," but can't, because to me it just looks like a double image. One image on like a red image.
I'm saying, I don't understand. I don't have a clue what you're talking about, but yeah, okay.
I know, sorry.
I'll take your word for it.
It looks like a double image to me, like two images laid over the top of each other, and it's extremely disorienting.
Well, it's like, for me, with my hearing issues, stereo sound or surround sound isn't all it's cracked up to be. Sometimes I actually prefer things in mono because, especially music, I don't understand the point of having music in stereo. When you've got the singer all the way over there and one instrument all the way over there, to me it's just confusing.
Yeah, I don't agree with that either. It's stupid.
It splatters everything all around.
Yes, I agree with you. I agree with you.
It's the same with some dramas too. And you could have one person who's really near to the centre and sounds like this, and then you can have another person who's all the way over in one channel and they're very faint.
Yeah, I think they do that. You're talking about radio drama.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's to signal distance from the person. For example, if it wouldn't be as it wouldn't be as realistic. For example, if you have two people sat watching, having a cup of tea, and then you had them literally right next to each other, because oftentimes they're right across the table from each other, and so
it's just a question of how you do that, because sometimes they're so far over in the field that I'm actually trying to strain one ear to understand what one person's saying.
Or, for example, if someone's talking to someone else and someone comes through the door, they'll often have them in the distance, because, they won't be sat having a cup of tea right near the door, right next to the door. So, they'd have to, have some way of signaling.
It's just the directional thing. I mean, I understand, and sometimes it works really well, but other times it's a nuisance, and I prefer it in mono, to be honest.
I wish they'd do more radio dramas, I really do.
Yeah.
But like you say, everything's visual these days. It's not going to happen.
You can get a lot of good radio drama on YouTube, interestingly.
Can you?
Yeah.
I wouldn't know. I've never tried. I do love my Narnia. I still listen to that.
Oh, I'm very glad.
I actually have it. I bought it on Audible as well. You know that you can get it on Audible.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can.
Because obviously I can't watch it on my computer anymore, because the one that you made for me, I can't put it on my computer anymore because my MacBook doesn't have a DVD.
Sorry about that. Yeah.
But so I was kind of pissed off about that. I was like, what am I going to do now? And then I realised that you could find it on Audible. And I was like, yes. But I do still have the one that you made for me, because then if I ever go away, I can just I can take it with me.
Yeah, one of the one of these things that me and you are going to listen to one day, aren't we?
Narnia together.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are. For clarity, and for the purposes of this video, a few back, what was it, in the 80s or something, or 90s?
Yeah, late. I think the first. I'm not sure if the first one wasn't late 70s. I'm not sure.
Well, anyway, a few years ago,
80s, 90s, yeah.
The BBC, the awesomest network ever, the awesomest channel ever.
Good old auntie.
The BBC did a series of radio dramas of the Narnia books, the Chronicles of Narnia.
They've also done his Dark Materials book.
Really?
They have, but sadly, they so. Well, I've not actually heard them, but from what I can gather, they actually cut them to pieces.
Oh no! Really? They edited them down?
Yeah, I think they cut them down something like an hour and a half each book.
I do love Audible though. I feel like it's it brings, because audiobooks used to be something that was very niche. Do you not think? I mean,
oh yeah, definitely.
Audiobooks came out so much after new released books.
Oh, absolutely. I'll never forget the wait for Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. It was for 8 months.
Oh gosh. And now, because they're becoming much more mainstream, that's not the case. There's a market for them.
Well, that's driven partly by the fitness market, I suppose, and people, wanting to read and so on while doing other things,
Well, yeah, it's not just,
That's one aspect of modern life that I can like.
Yes, exactly. There are aspects, not all doom and gloom. It's not just, I listened to Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. I'm listening to it right now. I listened to it yesterday when I was at the gym.
Yeah.
And, I was on the treadmill for an hour and I was listening to it and I was, jogging. But also it's really good for, people who are commuting to work.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's lots of, walking their dog or whatever.
Yeah.
It's so good for that. And I feel like, there's become much more of a market now. It's much more mainstream to have.
Yeah, absolutely.
By the way, just a disclaimer, this video is not sponsored by Audible. I just wish it was. Audible, if you want to sponsor me, I would be okay with that.
I think we've kind of covered this, having sight back. It's a difficult thing, isn't it? Sometimes I'm very glad I can't see, because I don't make the judgments that sighted people do.
I think you're right. Yeah, I to be honest, I think I use my sight much more than I should, and I do judge people much more than I should, and that's something that I kind of wish that I could see less because of. But there are times when I do wish that I am glad that I don't have sight very much, because. There are times that I wish that, that I'm glad that I don't have a lot of sight, because I don't have to see some horrible things. And I'm not going to go into detail about it, but basically I went to an event a few years ago, and there was about an 80-plus-year-old man who had stripped down to his underpants and was dancing around, and everyone around me was horrified. So they were like, "Oh my gosh, have you seen this?" And I'm like, "Thankfully, I cannot." And also, I went to an Indian restaurant with some family, and my mum, at the time I was actually talking to my mum, I'm not now, and my mum sort of said to me, "Oh my gosh, that waiter behind us has just picked his nose."
Oh, nice.
And I was very glad that I could not see that. Also, I sometimes get some videos and some photos on Facebook of cruelty to animals, and even though I can read about it underneath as a caption saying look at what this man has done to his dog, I can't see the full horror of what has happened to this poor dog, and it I'm very glad about it. I feel awful about it, and I just feel horrified, but I think it would upset me more to be able to see the full extent of the wickedness of some people.
Well, it's very different reading about it and seeing it, isn't it?
It is, yeah, but I am very glad that I don't have to see sometimes the wickedness of some people. It makes me so mad. It actually makes me just want to murder the person, honestly. It's the only time that I ever feel like I really want to murder someone is when I see, the sheer horror of things that people can do. And I don't want to go into detail because I feel like it's a bit sort of traumatic to talk about on this channel, but But yeah, I am sometimes very glad that I don't have to see that.
Sorry, you were
Yeah,
saying...
this is a bit of an interesting subject. But one of the comments that I see quite regularly is, how do blind people know when to stop wiping?
What, as in when you go to the toilet?
Yes! So, for those people that decide that they want to ask a stupid question, this is the answer. How do blind people know when to stop wiping?
I suppose...
Well, I usually answer one word to the people that ask this.
Oh, right.
And we can discuss this in detail if you like. But when people say, when do blind people know when to stop wiping, I always say one word: friction.
Yes, I do see what you mean. Yeah, you can kind of tell if there's... yeah. But I mean, I suppose it isn't it. You know, it's one of these questions that, yeah, it does maybe come across a bit, but at the same time, yeah, you know, how do we? Sometimes it's you know, a bit disgusting to think about, I suppose, but sometimes you just play how I feel.
Oh.
And, you know,
yeah.
wash your mitts afterwards, you know.
You know, hand washing is important, folks, especially for blind people on the toilet. Another thing I want to discuss is the importance of cones under traffic, under the button.
Oh, yes.
You know, how they work and the importance of them, because some people don't realise how important they are, and they'll try and break them off or cover them in things like chewing gum, and they don't realise what their purpose is.
I think, I get the impression, actually, probably that they do realise, and they're just being malicious. I mean, why else would you do it?
I don't know, but basically, I'm not entirely sure if this happens worldwide, but in the UK, on traffic, you know, when you press the button to signal that you want to cross, underneath that square box, there is a little round cone that has ridges on it, and it's right underneath it. And basically, if you are blind, the way that you can tell when, it doesn't. Obviously, it's not as important if it's a beeping one.
Some of them, well, it is, because some people can't hear.
Well, that's true.
Or see.
Yeah, but it's well, that's true. Yeah, but anyway, the little cone, it turns when it's time to cross, and so if you are blind, you can put your hand underneath it, gently touch it, and you know then that it's time to cross. And you know, I feel like some people can be, you know, they can be idiots, breaking them off or putting chewing gum on. And, you know, maybe it is malicious, maybe it's just not being educated.
No, as I was saying, it's vandalism anyway, either way. You know, if you do that is vandalism.
Well, yeah, but people don't care about things like that.
You know, to me, it's not, you know, if you think such a thing is a clever thing to do, you know.
Well,
it just isn't.
It's not, no.
I'll tell you something, because we were once in a church, me and my dad. And we saw some graffiti in this church.
Yeah.
And Dad was like, "Oh, that's awful." But to me, I was like, "Oh, that's fascinating," because this graffiti was from something like 1639 or something like that. It was, you know, really, really old graffiti.
Wow.
So this is you know, it's, you know, it's, you know, it started out as vandalism, but it's actually, it's interesting how crime or whatever, it becomes better with time. You know, a piece of graffiti from yesterday is a horrible vandalism, you know, and a piece of graffiti from 1639 is, you know, a priceless historical artifact of the culture of ordinary people of all these years ago, you know.
I wonder how far back you have to go, or like how long you have to wait for.
Yeah, that's an interesting thought, that, isn't it? Yeah.
I don't always think that graffiti should be covered up, because I feel like it is a contribution from the area, the community, to that, you know.
I suppose it depends if the graffiti is malicious. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, Even then, though, I mean, the terminology and the phrase of it, very much dates it, I think. Like, obviously, they say that if you had the ability to go back in time, you could only go so far back in time before English would be unintelligible. Because of how English changes so much.
I think you would have to go quite a long way back for you to be utterly incapable of understanding anything anybody said.
Yeah, well, they said probably about I think they said sort of like mid 18th century.
Oh no, I think you'd have to go back a lot further. I think, because if you take you read a Shakespeare play, they were written in the 1600s. Okay, you don't necessarily understand everything, but you understand all the basic words. They're just not necessarily put together in a way that you understand.
Yeah.
In a way that you're familiar with.
We don't really realise how much of English is actually taken from, other... for example, I'm learning Danish at the moment, as you know.
A lot of English words are Danish.
Oh, so many. Words. It's amazing. I mean, the pronunciation is different, but I love how easy it is to learn Danish. If there are any Danish people watching, I love you. Marry me. If you're a dude, marry me, please. Because I want to move to Denmark. But yeah, I mean, it's so easy to learn. Like, people think that French and Spanish is easier to learn. But Danish, because, obviously the Vikings were in England and Scotland and...
Ireland, the Irish Kingdom of Dublin.
I love Dublin. I love you Irish people. Yeah. You're fabulous.
The Viking Kingdom of Dublin, yeah. In what they call Danelaw.
Yeah.
From the Scottish border right down to, I think, at least down to the Humber River, if not further.
Right.
The Vikings ruled England, yeah.
And then, who is it? Harold that ruled the rest, is it?
Sorry?
The other part of England was ruled by, was it Harold?
Well, it depends when you mean. I don't know when you're talking about. Because there were all sorts of kings at that period. I think you could be thinking of Alfred the Great.
Oh, yes, possibly.
He was the king of Wessex originally.
Well, anyway, this was not supposed to be a history chat either. It doesn't matter, it's interesting. But yeah, because I'm learning Danish right now, and there's so many, like, words that are similar.
Yeah,
like, the word for egg, and the word for cake, and, the word for, for example, hi is Danish for hello, oddly. Yeah, it's spelled differently.
I think that hi is actually possibly much older than hello as a greeting.
Yeah, well, obviously, as I said, it's Danish, and obviously that harks back to Viking times. And tak in Danish is thank you, which, it obviously is like thanks. Tak, is and in fact, actually, in Northern England, one common sort of phrase instead of thank you is ta.
Ta, yeah.
Ta, love.
Ta.
Ta, love. Ta. And that's obviously very similar to tak. And so it's odd, isn't it, that, you would think that French and Spanish is the closest to English, but actually...
Well, not really, no, because it's all about how much influence the language has had,
Well, yeah, because, obviously, French and Spanish are very Latin languages, aren't they? And obviously...
Spanish certainly is.
Well, French is very similar to Spanish. French, Spanish and Italian are all Latin languages. And, obviously, for a long time, England was ruled by the Romans, and obviously... it's so there was.
Well, that's an interesting statement. For a long time, England was ruled by the Romans. In Roman times, there was no such thing as England. No such thing as England.
Wasn't there?
No.
What do you mean?
Well, the entity the political entity, or the geopolitical entity that we now know as England, didn't exist in Roman times.
It was Britannia.
Yeah, you had the island of Britannia, which was divided up into various areas, like Caledonia was Scotland, but I don't know if the Roman border of Caledonia corresponds to our Scottish border.
I don't know. I wouldn't know.
No.
I know that they built 2 walls. Hadrian built one, and then they built another one as well, didn't they? To separate the Picts, but the Picts just climbed over the wall.
I don't know about another wall.
Yeah, no, there were 2. There's 2.
Are there?
There's 2 walls. And I'm sorry if it was supposed to be a disability chat, but it's now into history. But we absolutely both love history.
Are you thinking of Offa's Dyke?
I can't remember what it's called, but no, there is another. There is another wall. It's higher up than Hadrian's Wall.
Oh right. I don't know then. Yeah.
Oh no, that's what happened. Is they
Sorry, Matt, squashing your.
No.
Skirt.
I'll show you my skirt in a bit, guys. I'm wearing a 50s kind of skirt. In fact, I plan on doing a lookbook at some point because I'm wearing a lot of 50s clothes at the moment. And when I get a few more bits and pieces of clothes, I'll do a 50s vintage lookbook for those of you who are interested. And if you wear vintage clothes, please let me know, and we can have a proper discussion about it because it's something that I really love at the moment. Well, yeah, I'll talk about that later. Well, no. I can talk about it now. But I think one of the things that I love about vintage clothes is that it makes me feel really pretty. Because I'm a bit more rounded than some people, and so the skirts because they poof out, they kind of flow over all my wobbly bits.
And I think in those days, there was less of a thing about
being curvy.
About being thin, I think people in those days they were. It was acceptable to be a bit bigger.
Yeah, it's and so because it flows over my curly bits, I don't feel as much like a potato. And
you could argue that their attitude was better because you didn't get all the eating disorders you get now. Well, at least as far as I know.
They did get rationing though.
Well, yes, but that's not the same as an eating disorder, is it?
No. I mean, I'm sure there was. I'm sure that you can probably find instances of that. But
I'm sure it wasn't as rife as it is today.
Yeah, I feel like the media is, but that's a whole other subject. I'm going to stop calling this this isn't a disability video. This is an anything and everything video, which is fine because Dan is a very interesting person to talk to. But that's the reason why I like vintage clothes, because not only does it make me feel like I'm stepping back in history, but it makes me feel like oftentimes in more modern clothes, I look at myself and think, my God, I look fat. And with this, I don't feel fat. I fluctuate in weight quite often.
And I don't think you're fat. You're to me, you're a nice size. You're not. I mean, well, okay. This is purely personal preference thing. I think that I don't understand this thing where men go for the really thin girls. To me, I don't find that attractive.
Dan is an old soul. He likes more old-fashioned things. Like he was saying to me, but when he first came, that he likes women in skirts because they're pretty. You don't like women in trousers, do you?
No, I don't dispute the right of women to wear trousers if they wish to, but I don't think that women are at all attractive in trousers. And that's purely a personal opinion. I'm never going to say to a girl, to any woman,
take that off, I don't like it, yeah.
Trousers, but at the same time, I have to confess, I definitely think this is lovely, and I think that a skirt, I think that it's much more attractive clothing. I think women look much more attractive.
I feel much more attractive. I feel pretty, and that's it's been so rare. And you guys know that I like to be real with you on occasion, but I don't often feel attractive. I never felt attractive in more modern day clothes. I always felt like, okay, this is the best it's going to get. Just deal with it. It's never going to be perfect. But when I wear things like this, I feel pretty again. I feel actually really feminine, and I like it.
I think I won't mind a skirt myself at the minute. I'm showing all my legs.
Maybe you should become Scottish and wear a kilt.
Any more disability questions?
Yeah, no, there's none. This is descended into just historical chat.
Aye.
What I was meaning to say about the Roman walls is that they built a wall across, Hadrian's Wall, which if you don't know anything about history, basically because when the Romans conquered Britannia, the island of Britannia, they easily conquered the English, but the Scottish were pains in the ass, basically, and would refuse to be beaten.
The interesting thing is, of course, again, neither of those actually existed.
I know, but shut up. Shut up.
It would have been, well, the various British tribes, the Catavallonis and the Iceni and the Brigantes and all these, and then you had the Picts up in Scotland.
Yes, anyway, let me finish what I'm saying.
And the Scots, who actually came from Ireland.
Scottish people came from Ireland?
Yeah, the Scots came from Ireland.
Interesting.
In fact, the Romans actually called Ireland Scotia.
Intriguing. Anyway, the point is, when they conquered Britannia, they conquered England easily, but the Scots were much harder to defeat. And so they built the wall, Hadrian built the wall. And then they realised that actually the Northern Scottish were actually not having it. They didn't want anything to do with the Romans. But the Southern Scots wanted to trade. And so they then had a problem because the wall separated all the Scots. So they built another wall between the Northern Scottish and the Southern Scottish, so that the Southern Scottish could then climb over the wall and trade, and the Northern Scottish would be walled in. So that's why there's two walls. There's one going right across Scotland too.
Oh.
Right. So I think that we kind of. I want to quickly show you my skirt.
Sorry.
It's alright, you stay there, it's fine.
Yep.
I'll step around you. So this is the skirt that I'm wearing at the moment. I'm just having to kind of straighten it out. You can't really see it very well because it's black, but I do have quite a few more. And this one is from Amazon. Because Amazon do have a fair few vintage things. It's a bit lower quality, I feel, but it's still, it still does. But I love the outfits that I've got from Etsy and Lindy Bop. Etsy is good. The thing about Etsy is that the things there are good, and a lot of it is actually a lot of the things that you can get from Etsy.
They've got a lot of vintage stuff down there. I've never actually bought anything off Etsy. But...
Oh, it's very good.
Yeah.
But the thing about Etsy is they do have actual, not just replicas, but actually like things from that time.
Yeah.
But the thing is about that the problem that you get with that is that you can't get them in every size. They obviously are in the size they come from.
No.
So oftentimes they're in small and medium, and not one. I'm a size large. So oftentimes you'll be sort of thinking, oh, that's lovely, and then look at it, and it'll be like a small or an extra small.
I'm an extra large, so.
Aww. So that's the problem with Etsy. I love Etsy things, but Lindy Bop, the good thing about Lindy Bop is that it's the things there are high quality, it's usually quite quick, and they have got a very big range of things, and they have them in every size, and they really do fit. So
that's nice.
I love Lindy Bop. I can't speak Lindy Bop's praises high enough. They really are fabulous. And I know that there are other websites that do vintage things, but right now I'm kind of mainly getting my things from Etsy and Lindy Bop. So yeah, that's my vintage stuff, and I will do a lookbook at some point of all my sort of outfits. But I'd really like to talk to some of you guys if you like to wear vintage things, because it's something that I am definitely getting into, and something I am worried more about is how to wear skirts in wintertime. Because obviously it's a lot easier in summertime, to wear like skirts, but in wintertime I can imagine it might get quite cold. So
wear stockings.
Well, yes, but stockings are very thin, Dan.
Well, I'm sure you can get thick stockings. I'm sure you used to be able to, because that's what they did. Woolly vests and thick stockings, and
Yes, I'm sure. But the stockings are about the same thickness as your t-shirt.
I know, as I say, I know, but I'm sure. Well, I'll be very surprised if you couldn't get thicker ones. But I am not a stocking expert.
Anyway, so guys, we're gonna actually go now because we have places to be, and we will We will, hopefully, I will get to do this with Dan again. I will do another Jixie's Fairy Tales very soon. I have another event coming up on the 14th of July, which I'm extremely excited about.
Ooh, Bastille Day.
Okay.
Bastille Day, the 14th of July.
Is it?
Yeah.
Anyway, I have an event coming up on the 14th of July, which I'm very excited about. I think you're going to love it. And there's another event coming up on the 25th of July, which I'm also excited about, and I think you're going to love that. So we've got a couple of good things coming up. Watch this space. And I really hope you've enjoyed it. I know it's been a bit of a hodgepodge this time. If you do have disability questions that you want to ask us, please try and, not joking, actual real questions, real truthful, honest questions, not like stupid questions. Although, all questions will be received, even if they sound stupid, we can still probably answer them.